everyone, and welcome to this demonstration on how to make the Market Tote bag. I have an example of a finished one here, and I have done more of a Valentine's Day theme with color blocking. And with this pattern, you can do any colors that you like. You can change the red, pink, and white if you're doing a Valentine version. I also have one made up in just the ecru and black. The ecru is this base color here, and then the granny rose, which are the color rose, you could do any color you like. For this pattern, I am using Lion Brand 24/7 cotton. In this specific one example, I have used the ecru, which is the base color, red, this pink, which is called Pink Lemonade, and white. You're also going to need an H 5.0 hook, a yarn needle for weaving in ends, scissors for trimming them away, and a stitch marker. Since we will be making this in the round, with the exception of the straps, I really recommend using a stitch marker in the first stitch of each round. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate how to get started. One other thing, for the measurements of this bag, we have 13 inches approximately wide by 12.5 inches tall, not including the straps. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, this pattern is going to begin with a slip knot, and we are going to chain 44 to begin. To create this pattern, we will work in rounds. We will work both sides of the foundation chain row to make round one. Since we are working in rounds, as we work the pattern up, the wrong side of the fabric will be facing you, and we will simply turn it right side out at the end. I do recommend weaving in the color change strands every few rows. It just makes finishing easier at the end of the pattern. 43 and 44. Okay, so now we're going to place one single crochet in the second chain from the hook here, and in each stitch to the end of the row. So by the time that we get to the end of the row here, we will have made 43 single crochets. That first chain that we skip when we begin here counts as our turning chain. Throughout this pattern, and it will be specified in the table, your slip stitches for joining or your turning chains are not going to count in the stitch count of our pattern, and I'll demonstrate that as we do the demo here. Unless otherwise specified in the pattern, they will not count. Okay, here we come to the end of our foundation chain row. So we're going to make single crochet 43 right here in that last chain stitch. And then what you're going to do is turn the foundation chain so that you work the back side. And in working the back side, what we are going to do is create the round one. So we turn it, and then we work right into that, back into that very first last stitch, on the back side. So we'll single crochet. And we're going to do that all the way down the foundation chain row on the back side. By the time we get to the end, we will have made a total of 86 single crochets. Okay, coming to my last few single crochets here in the foundation chain row. There's single crochet 86. I'm going to slip stitch then to the first single crochet that we made. And I'm going to chain 1. That will join the round. That chain 1 is not going to count in our stitch count. So for round 2, we're going to make 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. So this next stitch here we'll half double crochet into, and that will count as our first stitch of this round. So I'm going to slide my stitch marker in and then proceed with round 2, which will be a half double crochet in each stitch. So by the time we get to the end of round 2, we will have made 86 half double crochets. Okay, I'm coming here to my last half double crochets of this row. Here's my last stitch. Here's my chain 1 from the previous round that we do not count that one. So you'll see it, but we don't count it. So I'm going to half double crochet into this last stitch here for 86 half double crochets of round 2. And I'm going to slip stitch to the first half double crochet that we made. I lost my hook. And for round 3, since it's a granny row and we're changing color, I'm going to close this last slip stitch of round 2. I'm going to close it in my new color so that when I start round 3, I'll be working in the new color. There's different ways to color change. This is just the way that I do it. So I'm going to close that and I'll move forward with the new color, which for this granny row I am choosing to do red. So for round 3, the instructions are to slip stitch into that next stitch. So here we are right here. We're going to slip stitch into that next stitch of the round and chain 2. That's going to count as our first double crochet of this round. So I'm going to slide my stitch marker into the top of that chain 2, and then I'm going to double crochet right back in to the same stitch. I'm going to skip this next stitch and place 2 double crochets into the next, and that is the sequence that we are repeating all the way around. 2 double crochets, skip the next stitch, 2 double crochets in the next, and we will end with 2 double crochets in the last stitch of this row, or pardon me, this round. And as we work up this tote bag, I mentioned before, the wrong side of the fabric will be facing you. It's hard to tell here in the first few rounds of the pattern, but you'll know that your fabric is wrong side facing you if you're working kind of clockwise with this pattern. And you can tell if you flip it right now, the difference is just a cleaner finish, which is what we will want as we move along. Okay, 2 double crochets in the last stitch here. You can see our slip stitch from the previous round, and that is not going to count in our stitch count. So we are going to slip stitch to the top of the first double crochet made. Let's slide out the stitch marker and slip stitch to the top here. And then chain 2. That chain 2 is going to count as our first double crochet. So I'm going to slide my stitch marker back in to the top of that second chain stitch that we made, and I'm going to place 1 double crochet back into the same stitch. Now we're going to place 2 double crochets into the skip stitch spaces from that previous round. So here's our first skip stitch space. You can see here. We're going to place 2 double crochets into that space. And then 2 double crochets right into that next space. And we're going to do that all the way around. Okay, here we are at the end of this round. Here's our last skip stitch space from the previous round. You can see the stitch right there. So we're going to place our 2 double crochets. That will be stitch 85, and this will be stitch 86. We're going back to our half double crochet round for round 5. So we are going to remove that stitch marker and slip stitch to the top of that first double crochet made. And again, this is where I like to change color and close with the new color. So I'm moving forward with the ecru, which is my main color. So I'm going to close in that. And then I'm going to chain 1. And then I will half double crochet into that very next stitch right there, which will become the first stitch of the round. And then I will place 1 half double crochet in each stitch around. And so those rows that I just demoed will just repeat for this pattern. So we'll do 2 rows of half double crochets, paying attention to how to join, and then we'll do 2 granny rows until you reach the end of the pattern, and your very last row, or pardon me, round, will be a round of slip stitches around the top. So let's go ahead and continue to work up the body of our tote bag, and then we can meet back at the end. I can demonstrate then how we're going to complete the straps and attach them to the body of our tote bag. Now, one thing that I do want to point out, as we've mentioned, we are working with the wrong side of the fabric facing us. The way I do color changes, my yarn tails tend to then be on the inside. So I like to weave these in every few rounds so that it doesn't become overwhelming, and they're easier to get to while they're close without having to reach into the body of the tote. So I pull them through and weave them in so that the yarn tails are woven in on the wrong side here. They'll be on the inside of the bag. So go ahead and complete the body of this tote bag. We'll meet back here and I can demonstrate how to finish a strap and begin to attach the straps. Okay, now that we have finished the body of our tote, we need to move on to the straps. I have 1 strap done here. You'll make 91 rows of the single crochets as outlined in the pattern. And when you get to the end here, so I've just completed row 91, we're going to work around the strap. So when you get to the end of row 91, make 1 single crochet. We're going to turn to make that single crochet at the end of each row. So just move all the way around the strap, placing a single crochet in the end of each row to finish it off. When we reach the corners, we will place 2 single crochets to turn. And you can see we get this finished edge as we move along. Okay, I have reached my first corner of the strap, so I'm going to place 2 single crochets in that corner and then 1 single crochet across the bottom of the strap, and I'm going to reach the other corner here and go into that stitch and place 2 single crochets, and then turn and continue to work single crochets up the side of the strap. Okay, here we are approaching the end of our strap, so last 2 single crochets in that corner and a single crochet across. And then I'm going to slip stitch to the very first single crochet that we made right here and fasten off. And when we fasten off, we're going to make sure that we leave a long tail of yarn so that we can attach the strap to the bag. So now that we have our completed strap, you're going to make 2, and then we will attach them to the bag. Let's attach the strap to the bag. I've already attached one so that you can see I've turned the bag right side out. All of my ends have been weaved in, and I've come in about 3 inches from the side of the tote on each side to attach the strap. So now I'm going to flip it over to attach the next one side, and we're going to begin by attaching it to one side of the tote. I make sure that it's again about 3 inches in from the edge, and I'm going to align it with the other strap so that they're even. So let's start with this end. I can see that if I put it right here, it's aligned, and I'm just going to place it just on the inside, about with round 30. And with my yarn needle, I'm just going to come up through a stitch. You can pin it in place if that's easier for you. I kind of just hold it in place as I go. Working all the way around, making sure that I keep it straight as I go. Once I have that end, secured in place, I just flip it over here and weave in the end. Trim away that excess, and then we have secured that end to the tote bag. We're going to bring the other end around, making sure that we, again, have it not twisted, right side facing, in where we need it from the edge, aligned with that other strap on the back, and follow the exact same process for attaching that strap. Okay, we've got this one attached. I'm going to weave in the end. And trim away the excess. And there we have attached the straps to our Market Tote. I really hope that you enjoy this pattern, and I appreciate you following along. Thank you.